Broadcasting live from Urza's factory on the plain of Dominaria, this is Tap, Tap, Concede. Hello, I'm Kathleen, and joining me this week are Cameron and Wheeler.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
And it's great to be here with both of you guys, and it's great to be supported by our wonderful sponsors. That's you, all of you, at patreon.com. You pay us to make these noises come out of our mouths, passing air through various flaps and nodules. Well, I guess actually, hopefully not nodules. That would be bad.
But yeah, there's flaps. There's probably sphincters. There's
several
valves.
Yeah, but you are facilitating that movement of air in a really indirect, keeping us fed and housed way.
You're endorsing everything that we just said.
Oh, no. Over at patreon.com, it's a place where you give us money, but also through the kind support of our sponsors, cardkingdom.com. Once again, they are a kingdom of cards, a duchy of places to buy cards. There's dukes and earls, I'm sure, that work there. All in fealty to the card king or queen.
Yeah, there are marches.
Yeah,
out somewhere.
There's all sorts of cool royal references to make it. Cardkingdom.com. And if you go and you want to order anything from cardkingdom.com, such as singles anywhere in the world or sealed products within the contiguous United States of America. Actually, that's not true. They can ship to Hawaii, so it's the discontiguous Americas.
Getting more discontiguous by the day.
Yeah. Continental drift jokes. You can say LRR sent me button, please. And I believe the button this time is a thing that I didn't check before we started recording.
Is it still weird tap, but okay? No,
Damage?
James is shaking his head.
Before damage, I concede.
Before damage, I concede. Thank you, James. James is also brought to you by Patreon and by Card Kingdom. And thanks to James, who's running the board and putting up with all of the noises coming out of our valves and sphincters.
He's got 2 dilly bars now.
James could have ended this at any time.
That's tacit approval. But speaking of things that have just been approved, what a segue.
Good segue.
Buttery smooth.
Yeah.
There is some interesting news in the world of Magic right now because we've had 2 large players merging together to become one very large player. TCG player has bought Channel Fireball, CFB, the well-known site. If you're not, you're probably familiar with Channel Fireball. It was sort of founded in 2009. It's been around forever. One of the sort of premier in the past event live sort of competitive Magic hosting things. They also do a lot of content creation and stuff like that. They sponsor shows like Limited Resources. And they've been bought by TCG Player, who I don't know as much about, but apparently is one of the biggest, trading, one of the biggest sites for doing
marketplace
things.
sites.
They just move so many cards and also publish a lot of articles and maybe videos. I don't watch much Magic content, embarrassingly, but they're a big name.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now they own another big name.
Yep.
But what does this mean for you, the viewer/listener of this podcast? Well, luckily, we've assembled this crack team of 3 people who happen to be on staff, and we've done some research this morning to discuss it.
This is a pretty strong 3.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
We're 3 people who would occur to us to do some research into the subject before opening our mouth. So I think that already elevates us against, I would say, 50% of the general population. But yeah, I think the general feedback is that this isn't really changing for content creators, right? Because we know some people who are working with CFB before, and you were. What have you heard about that? Wheeler?
That was honestly my first concern was just I hope a lot of people aren't losing their job. And from what I've heard from the content creators online, is that everything for now is remaining the same. People still have jobs. People still have sponsorships. Content is still being created. Shovel into your mouth accordingly. You know?
Right. The other thing that I think a lot of people were concerned about was events, because CFB in the before times, apparently this is all hearsay. I don't work at CFB and nobody has discussed this with me. This is just things I have learned. Apparently pre-pandemic signed like a multi-year contract with Wizards of the Coast to do like Magic events. They got through 1 year of that. The first year is always that loss leader year where we sort of figure things out and get things, rolling, and they did their first year of that. And of course the next several years of that were the Pandini, and so no live events were happening. So I imagine that didn't go super well for them. And they've done one Command Fest so far this year in Vegas. It's July, so I think people were hoping for more live Magic events to come back as sort of things reopen and stuff. So do you think this like larger war chest will like give them the ability to stage events? Because TCG Player stages some events too, correct? I think
Star City definitely does. I don't know. I think TCG Player might be more like smaller scale,
Right.
Like not 1Ks, 5Ks, or like tinier, kind of like here's a modern, tournament with a top 8 that pays out
right
to that or something to that effect,
Right.
but definitely not on the scale of a Magic Fest or a Command Fest or even like a SCG Con.
right.
So, yeah, I think TCG Player here has picked up probably a lot of institutional expertise and a stable of people who write engaging articles and sponsorships. But I would think that picking up CFB events or whatever's left of it at this point would have been a major draw for TCG Player.
The other thing we haven't really talked about is they also picked up Binder POS, which stands for Point of Sale System, not what your mom refers to as a POS. And that I read in their stats that says like we do $200 million worth of inventory annually, and I have to say that's actually not that big as for like the card market and stuff like that. That's yes, that's a lot of money to me, the individual. But think about how many stores, like think about in your time at Yellow Jacket, like how much money is coming in and out. Not profit. We're not talking about $200 million worth of profit. That's a lot. But just in raw sales, right?
Right, in transactions.
Yes. So I don't think you need to have that many stores using the system to get to that $200 million number, to be completely honest with you.
Dual lands and Power 9 and all that jazz add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Especially across, again, many stores.
Yeah.
So what does Binder POS do? It's a point of sale system, clearly, but like, does it manage inventory?
Yeah, it's like an inventory card management kind of thing. Like CFB bought them a few years ago, I believe, and so I don't know if this is just going to help TCG Players' operations, or if it's kind of like, that's nice, but we're actually after, the gems of the knowledge and the content and the brand name, right? I'm not sure what the selling point in this is. Another interesting thing is like over the past, like, I don't know, couple years or so, maybe, I'm not sure when this happened, CFB sort of pivoted from, sort of using the cardkingdom.com, use our affiliate code. Like we have a warehouse, we sell cards, we buy your cards, we manage that, we send it out, to being like an online marketplace, which is also a big thing of what TCG Player does. So maybe it's just, hey, these people have come in, they're sort of cutting into our business model. Maybe what we can do is we can buy them and then we can conglomerate. And now we are basically the only option for being an online marketplace to sell cards.
Right. Yeah, like I think more competition was better when that existed. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But I don't know. I don't know about this one. I'm not like super happy to hear about it.
Yeah.
In as much as it forms an opinion at all for me. But well, hopefully they'll be good stewards of what they've acquired.
Yes.
Yeah. If you have to have companies existing, having some amount of competition, especially in like an unregulated secondary market, and one that is so volatile as like North American Magic, which is just woot, woot, woot. It's just wild. More competition is good. Less competition is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a little not great.
Yeah. So what you have is one site now carrying kind of the lion's share of secondary market content creation and event management.
Interesting.
So,
Eh,
uh,
eh. Who knows?
maybe
I mean-
maybe they'll give us free stuff and I'll feel better about this, but
Eh.
or I'll feel obligated to feel better about this.
They'll invite us to whatever thing that they're planning. I would like, if they've got more money, I want them to use it to throw more Magic events. Like more Command Fests would be good. And it behooves them to throw these events because, they can promote playing the card game in person and stuff like that, which is going to cause people to want to buy cards and send them to their website, right? Like that's why you do all this stuff, right? And there's a reason CFB was producing events in the first place, right? Because it, promoted the playing of Magic, which promotes the buying of cards, which is good for them, right?
Yeah, like I think for stuff like this, it's easy and frankly healthy to be extremely cynical about what the outcome is going to be, or in both a short term and in a long term. But if what this does lead to is more pushing more money into running events, maybe running events safely, or even extending to like local game stores now having an avenue to sell certain products online. Like even if the cut that I don't know what the cut they receive is or like what the participation leads to, but like I'm sure that there are, probably stores, from like the Midwest or down south or whatever that have the stock that they're not able to move in a community because there's only so much any given smaller community can, buy up. Eventually you have to like push it on to other people. So,
Right. I mean, that is good for the stores, but I'm not convinced that it'll be good news for the local gaming scenes.
yeah.
Right? If a store can hang on to, a set of duels and those kind of remain inside the community, that's better for those players. But if they can very easily sell them online, they're going to wind up with...
Like the margins for selling cards are, I mean, it depends on, how good of a person you are. But like the margins aren't always that great. And so there could be like, you can run into cases where smaller stores are going to be buying, they see that big shiny diamond that is like an underground sea or whatever, and they snatch it up and they're just looking to make, $300 off of it ultimately. But then it's just sitting because the prices are so high that in their community, it's just like, well, nobody else has dual lands because they can't afford it. So even if I, as an individual, could afford it, I'm not going to buy it. Like there's no reason for them. And so to give some of these smaller stores maybe an avenue to say like, well, some rando in Colorado or whatever picked up this pricey thing. Great. We got it. We got it out of here. That was what we wanted.
Yeah.
And I suppose my experience is kind of warped by the fact that where we are in Victoria is a kind of affluent and extremely competitive Magic scene.
Yeah.
To some extent driven by Highlander.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking of like the annual Highlander tournaments where the prize is usually a piece of power, with the understanding that that power does not get flipped online immediately.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It remains inside the community.
Yeah. Victoria is very much an anomaly in that sense because, I mean, we're in the Pacific Northwest, so there's just more old cards and high-powered stuff, people that played earlier kicking around. And we want those cards to play those cards, But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My other thought about this is that articles, content creation, paying pros and personalities in the Magic community to write for you is not inherently a money-making operation.
No, it's a money-losing operation.
Right. It's what you use to draw attention to your site.
Right.
So hopefully they're able and willing to continue supporting those creators.
Yeah, but you have to think that, hey, now that we basically have a huge share of this market, do we need to spend as much money, fighting it out to, get individuals to come and, come to our place by, basically purchasing the goodwill and clout of another person's fan base through a sponsorship? Or is this going to cause, like, some of your smaller people to be, cut loose, which, once again, all the sort of the money concentrates at the top, right?
Yeah, well, and there were a couple of relatively well publicized articles discussing, or threads online on social media discussing how the money already wasn't great for a lot of those content creators, or a lot of those analysts and players and the people writing the articles weren't getting paid really well for it, with a few notable exceptions.
Yeah, and I think some of the I can't speak to other people's content arrangements, but I believe some of it was just a pure commission basis. So it's not like we pay you $100 a month to sponsor you, which is not. This is an illustrative thing, just because $100 is an even amount of money. It's not we give you $100 a month to be sponsored by blah blah card store. It's like, any percentage of sales that you get, you'll get a kickback, right? You get 5% of the sales you generate, right? So it's like a commission kind of based thing. There's a lot of, I think, people are in those kinds of deals. So how much is that? Is that still worth it? Probably. But when you have one shop, does, I don't know. I'm with you guys. I don't think that I think that competition is good. I think that companies should be forced to fight with each other for our dollars and our loyalty. Just look at Amazon. There you have an extreme, that's what happens. That's why they did all back in the old days, they busted up all these big super conglomerates in the U.S., right? Because, the land barons and stuff like that, But we'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess.
It's kind of the only thing we can do, because as much as we like to express skepticism or cynicism, what are any of us going to do about it, right? We can only kind of sit here and hope it doesn't lead to anything unpleasant and expensive and debilitating for the community.
Yeah. I just hope, my friends can still pay rent.
Yeah. That would
That's
be
really
great.
all I care.
Yeah, because, to also be honest, we're coming at this from a content creator perspective, and we know a lot of people in these communities who will be affected by this. So we would prefer that the people that we work with and who we are friends with continue to be able to make ends meet.
I do want to just jump in, because when it comes to the event side of things, this was a similar worry years ago when CFB got that deal, when they were given Magic Fest for 3 years, was, okay, if you have it for 3 years and nobody else does, there's no reason for you to innovate. There's no reason for you to lower your prices. There's no competition. And one of the actual benefits of it, which I didn't see get talked a whole lot about, and I'm hoping that TCG players sees the benefit here themselves, was it gave them an opportunity to get really good at running events.
Right.
We spent a fair amount of time at CFB events over the years, especially in 2019, in that first year that they were doing them, and they're pretty good at it. That is worth noting. So hopefully that when it comes to the event side of things, TCG player takes all of that info that they learned over the year that they did do it, because it was pretty good.
Yeah, because from what I understand, CFB events was kind of gutted over the pandemic, but hopefully there was a lot of continuity planning and a lot of institutional expertise left in that office.
Hopefully,
because events are not easy to pull off, and if they were able to develop a reasonable amount of expertise around running big tournaments, then that's extremely valuable and useful knowledge.
Well, so there's an almost 20-minute discussion on what does this mean? I don't know. How do we feel about it? I don't know. A little wary.
Yeah. Trepidatious.
How does this affect you? I don't know. How does this affect the magic marketplace? Similar question marks. Mm-hmm. What else do we want to talk about this week?
I have some relevant discourse that I might want to chime in on about events as well. One thing that I would like to see from this, if this is going to result in taking advantage of expertise in event running, is potentially looking to broaden the type of larger events that are coming out beyond like the Command Fest structure, or taking, because at Command Fests they are there's Commander, and then there are drafts.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, there's not really, there might be, I mean, again, I might be being a bit reductive. There may be some other smaller things, but as someone that is both enjoys Commander and also being a washed up, competitive driven player, I would love to see some events that do cater towards like having kind of qualifier events, or like a 5K sort of thing, like or a 2K. It doesn't matter how much the dollars is. It's just that like ability to be able to be like, hey, I like Modern, or I like, Pioneer or whatever. I brought my deck to this event because that's the classic Magic player going to an event thing, is you always bring a deck for every format, or too many decks, even though you use like a third of them. And I feel like that's something that, the lack of that competitive option, or that like middling competitive option, has been brought up over and over and over again on Twitter, sometimes in some disingenuous, surroundings. I know
On Twitter?
but like there's I genuinely, there's a nice medium.
No,
right?
I absolutely agree. And sorry, that wasn't meant to be a dig at that comment. Bad discourse on Twitter hurts us all. I don't really dig Commander. It's not my format.
Yeah.
So the preponderance of Command Fests leaves me feeling a bit left out, which is, I guess, how Legacy players have felt for years. Only I also didn't drive my own marginalization in order to protect value. But hot takes. I mean, yeah, I basically go to these events to hang out with friends, and then I draft.
Yeah.
But I'm not really part of the event.
Right. But there's like, for players in your position, right? Like, if someone's like, I'm playing in a Modern event, and you're like, oh, cool, Modern, is Storm still a thing? And they're like,
exactly.
Yeah, in fact, I have an extra Storm deck. Do you want to jam? And it's just like, sometimes, like, very commonplace. I mean, I've been victim of it too, where it's just like, yeah, sure, I'll go like 2-3 draw.
I'll go. Yeah. I'll hang out in this and probably dream crush somebody who would otherwise do fairly well with an oddball deck. Also, what does Modern Storm look like? Did you just pull out like the 4 of Faithless Looting and replace it with the one for Modern Horizons 2?
Oh, I don't know. I only play good formats, but no, I'm kidding. I like Modern. I play bad decks in that format, though.
Why is it every time I sit in this host chair, people say spicy things?
Oh, we say spicy things all the time.
Mm-hmm. I'm filled with the unbridled rage of a West Coast Legacy player. Former.
Fair. But I mean, like last time we had Cedric talk. Last time I was sitting here, Cedric was like, bacon is overrated. Now you're like, Modern meh. Like people are going to leave comments, and they should, in the YouTube comments below and engage that algorithm.
Exactly. We don't sincerely hold any of the beliefs that I just said.
Unless we do.
I mean, if you do want to wrap it back, I think Modern is actually, not to talk about the format, but what that format means for content creation and articles. I've always seen Modern as like the perfect format for like articles to be written about to drive cards and to drive participation on a local level, but also on like an event level. Because like your average modern player, at least from my experience, is just like they're just playing the same thing that they're always playing. You know, they're not, that 4-color money pile. Anyways, here's a dredge deck I haven't unsleeved for, 5 years that may or may not be illegal now.
Yeah.
And that's great. You want, like, that's just what local Magic is for a majority of the population. And so, and those players like to know what's up. They like to read articles. They like to go to these events to test their metal or whatever.
Right. When you're sleeving up your sideboard, you kind of need to know if Golgari Grave Troll is currently banned in Modern or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Modern is this format where reprints are possible.
Right, exactly.
And new cards are kind of constantly being added to it in meaningful ways. For example, like I was just reading an article the other day about how Modern is actually in a reasonably decent place right now because there is some variety in the format rather than 80% of any particular field being drawn.
Yeah. Yorion's a big pisser, but still, again, not every player is playing Yorion.
Yeah, or Urza.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. The other hotnesses. Like there are 8 decks in that format now. Basically.
Yeah, and that's good. You get people out to these events to play. They don't, there's a certain aspirational aspect of it where they're like, oh, what if I do win? Or what if I, what if I get to play against these pros at these, or these personalities at these Magic Fest style of events or whatever. Or if they just like playing. Like so many people show up to, back when there were, you had regular PTQs or whatever, people show up to those events not thinking like, I'm going to win, I have everything written out or whatever. They're like, I had a Saturday free. I want to have fun. My friends are going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so creating space at, potential future events for those kind of players, like I think they can coexist with Commander players because Shocked, I'm sure there's a lot of overlap like in that.
Right.
Well,
everyone says that Commander is the fun format. But honestly, I've had better experiences at the super sweaty tables with the extremely competitive players because everyone goes on to or into those events with very clear expectations over what they'll experience and the level of play they can expect from other players. Whereas at the more casual Commander tables where I find myself, that is not always clearly established beforehand, and people can experience a bit of dissonance about what is happening at the table versus what they kind of went into the event expecting.
Yeah, I'm sitting down to play Commander, therefore I'm just sitting down to have fun and play with my friends. But Buddy over here is rocked up with like a borderline CDEH deck, and he's going to combo off by turn 2, and he's going to make us all miserable about it, right?
Right.
But I feel like that, there's a huge amount of discussion and just sort of like setting expectations in table talk and sort of like, identifying the power levels of decks and stuff like that.
Yeah, CDH McBig Gulp isn't the like norm for those situations, but when it like, even if it happens once, it could be a bit of a sting.
Yeah.
And so like having the space at these events for like we've laid out the social contract of what's going down here.
Yeah.
There's like, there's no misinterpreting that like you can't play Mox Opal here.
Right.
And if you play something that isn't exactly tuned, you might get rinsed. And that but that's okay for people.
Yes. Yeah. I keep thinking of like way back in the day when I was playing more Warhammer, we had some extremely competitive players in our community, and I kind of enjoyed playing against them because there was no pretense of them having brought a fun list, right? They were playing a tournament list, and I went into those games knowing what to expect from them.
Yeah.
And it was honestly kind of more enjoyable than playing against people who were under the impression that they were a fun match.
It removes a lot of like general anxiety of like misinterpreting what's going on, or, you know, being the bad guy or the bully or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this might all just be an articulation of my inability to read other people and appreciating the environments where that is less of an obstacle.
Cameron, I don't think it's a stretch to say that you're not alone in that issue among Magic players, and that is potentially a barrier worth knocking down for events that creates community building. You know?
But there is an appeal to sitting down at a table where both players understand that it's go time.
Yep, full stop.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've all had a big discussion about all of this and what we do to improve events. I already asked this question, but what else was literally what else was on the docket for us to discuss this week?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Handshake discourse.
Handshake discourse.
GG discourse.
Oh, no.
No, I don't know what happened.
When does one GG? There was the Fortnite special, or Secret Lair.
That's nice for them.
Yeah. Have either of you played Fortnite?
No,
No,
I'm not 12.
I've heard the
Okay.
I've heard the non-construction mode is honestly very good gameplay.
Yeah, now, okay. If I wasn't wearing this bucket hat, I wouldn't be so embarrassed to have a retort after being called 12, but it's not that bad of a game.
Well, I
I'd
understand
say.
like Fortnite has a bunch of different modes that it operates in.
Yeah.
One of the more popular ones is that it's essentially just a hangout for preteens. Right? Like you go in, you have free voice chat, and you can just kind of hang out with your friends doing things until you die. And then there are occasionally nerds who run around playing the game, ruining it for everyone else.
Just building these monolithic skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is something that's very, very warmly regarded by a lot of people. It kind of misses me because I'm not the target demographic. And I can't really comment on whether this is capital G good, capital F for capital M magic.
Capital T, the capital G, the gathering.
Yes. Like I'm not excited by this, but I've seen people upset by it, and that baffles me. Well, not baffles me, but like
I think we've already talked in Tap Tap Concede, like not all things are for all people, and if you don't care about this, great. You can continue not caring about it, and you can let the people who care about it have a good time caring about it.
Yeah, I feel like a Secret Lair that is like anything Fortnite related will get people doing. Like it'll get a wave of people playing. Oh my God, there's a Grim Tutor.
Ooh.
Whoa, that's huge. Cool.
Actually, yeah.
I mean, I guess this was in a core set now that I'm thinking about it, but still, always good to have more. Oh, this is big.
Triumph of the Hordes.
This card was like $30 as an uncall. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
I mean,
wait, yeah, wow, right.
Oh, Looter Scooter.
Hey.
But like you'll get people playing. Like I cannot stress how. I don't know why I'm the one that feels like I'm up to bat completely for Fortnite. I played it like 5 times. I got yelled at by some preteens and never played it again. But like, I can't stress how many people play this game.
Oh yeah,
like it's
no,
the
huge.
biggest game. It's like one of the biggest like media franchises of all time. It's astronomical. And so even if it means you'll get some new blood or some younger players coming into the game, cool. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I basically know Fortnite from like, you know, concerts were held in Fortnite for a while, but now concerts are being held in Roblox, and I don't even know what to make anymore, because that's like, I feel like even at a younger demographic, I can't play that because I'm not 9, right? It's like, okay.
I don't know. I feel that I'm not sure this will bring anyone into Magic, but if this is the first way a 13-year-old foils out their deck,
Yeah.
that seems okay to me.
Yeah. And if like you're like, hey, I just want this card and it's a chance to get this card and I like Fortnite. Great. Good. Enjoy it. Have fun.
Great.
Speaking of things that are like, I mean, I would say fun for someone right now, as at time of recording, there's like a Magic Dragons event going on in Arena. Did anybody play that?
I did not.
It was like 5,000 gold. I'm saying was because I think it'll be done. And you could play like 5 multicolored sort of dragon brawl decks. It was basically to play brawl. Or you could play in with gems, but your reward for winning was that you got like skins, basically alternate card cosmetics. So I'm not going to use gems to pay for that. I'll use gold because gold is free, and digital cosmetics are worth less than nothing to me. But you got to play some brawl essentially for cheap, and I played it. I played all 5 decks because I needed to get 5 wins. And the first deck I played with was the Silver Quill deck, which seemed unmatched to the 3-color, the blue, red, green deck, and it had like this card. It was like Miam with like 2 eyes in it or something like that. And every time you'd cast a dragon, you'd get a copy of it for free.
Yeah, that card's not okay.
Yeah, so like I'm playing Shadrick Silverquill as my commander, and like I have to give them an inkling every turn. Right. And meanwhile, they're just making like they made like, like 2 earthquake dragons that are 10/10s with tramples, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're good with words.
Yeah.
I'm 2 dragons.
Yeah, I have. Hey, but you know what though? I can make double my 1/1 tokens.
That's pretty good. Here's 2 gold span dragons.
That was like the least scary dragon that they could get.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Oh, gross.
Yeah, it was an interesting. So nobody played that except me.
Yeah, I've just been waiting for Baldur's Gate to be, or the Baldur's Gate Alchemy.
To be on like Quick Draft.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just waiting for Neo to come back to Quick Draft, and
Man.
so instead I've done 3 Crimson Vow drafts and kind of figured out how to go 3-3 in the format, because like the bots do not seem to care about the zombie deck, but the zombie deck is like sort of outpaced by the red-green deck.
Right. I'm just. Yeah, I just want to play Boomer Magic. I just want Neon Dynasty Kamigawa to come back.
I know.
Wait, Boomer Magic.
Yeah, I mean, there's been, 40, 50 sets since Kamigawa came out? It's Boomer Magic by now. Old content, my dude.
Oh my god. We should do an episode. I missed it, and I was so upset. But the Arena Cube was back on.
Oh.
Just normal, I believe normal Arena Cube. It may have been Chromatic Cube. But
It was Chromatic Cube.
okay. Slightly less exciting, but still good. Because I think the Arena Cube, you want another hot take?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Arena Cube is the best cube that you can play across Magic Online and Arena.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's perfect. It's so good. And I miss Chromatic Cube, but that's just a little seed for a later time that it's back up, because it's so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hot takes? Leave your comments.
Yeah. Got any other hot takes? Anybody?
I'm exhausted by the pace of things.
Yeah.
Black MIDI sort of sounds like virtuistic Primus, and I think that's okay, and I think
Wait,
that's
Black MIDI?
Black MIDI.
yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. They got a new album came out that's like sort of super prog Primus, is how I would describe it. And I saw a music journalist say that as sort of like a and I was like, no, that's good. Let them. They have more talent. They're like 22 or something like that now, so they've put out 3 albums.
Yeah.
Those talented lads, and their lead singer has a very good Twitter account. So there you go. There's some medium takes.
Black MIDI's my favorite song off Neon Bible.
Boy, that just killed discourse. I had no way to come back from that.
Now I'm just thinking of what albums I'm still looking forward to this year. Holding out hope that there will be a new Lauren Busfield album.
Oh. Penelope has started asking for Omnium Gatherum by name.
Oh, really?
She loves the dripping tap, and it's 18 minutes long.
Awesome.
Yeah, next time King Giz plays an all ages show, I'm taking her. And we're gonna stay far back from the mosh pit, which means we're gonna be at the back where everybody's smoking weed, right?
Well, I mean, Penelope's what? 6'3", 6'4" by now.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be fine in the pit.
Oof. What we got to do is get there early, and we'll just go up at the front. And I guarantee you that absolutely no one's going to get rough around a child and their small, noodly-looking mother. Take Graham. Because then, people might be thinking, what if I mosh? It's like, I'm also huge and 6'3". So it's a patented system. Small person and large partner.
Yes.
Yeah, many people have gone to a concert like that.
I think even extremely high King Giz fans will respect that perimeter.
Oh, King Giz fans are actually very good about.
Pleasant.
They're I loathe here's a hot take. I loathe mosh pits. I just want to watch a show. I don't want to be smacked into. I don't want to get your sweat on me. Christ God, just don't touch me. You have to stand close to me, but don't move near me. Christ.
I've always had good experiences in mosh pits and found them extremely safe and supportive environments where people tend to watch out for one another because, for the grace of God. Right?
True. I mean, some of them are, but some of them are just filled by
very bro-y.
Very, very bro-y guys who want to go and get their flail on. Although I did see, apparently once there was some guy who was moshing too aggressively, and another gizzard stopped the show, had the guy ejected,
right out,
and threw him out, and then said, "Could you please? That's not acceptable behavior.
Yep.
You can't be violent." Yep. And then continued the show.
Mosh responsibly.
Yeah. Some medium takes there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm small. I don't want to be
thrown
around in a mosh pit.
I come to that from a position of
size privilege.
Yeah, size privilege. I'm not a huge dude, but I do occlude a volume.
The last time I was in a pit, not necessarily on my own volition, but I had a guy run into me, and it was like Wile E. Coyote into a brick wall. It was just...
So what I'm hearing is that if this magical all ages show does materialize, that we need to take you as well, Wheeler, and just stand you behind Penelope.
I do like King Giz. Yeah,
All right. Anything else we want to talk about while we're here?
I just stabbed myself with my pencil.
Pencil lead's too sharp. They're hot takes. Dull pencils for safety.
No.
Yeah, honestly, kind of a quiet week.
The summer doldrums.
Yeah, which is a novelty. Usually we have difficulty talking about everything that's happening in a week. But, wow. Yeah, not a lot burned down this week in the world of Magic the Gathering.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
I think we can chalk that up as a W, folks.
Yeah. So overall... a quiet, perfect summer week.
Yeah.
Where people got outside.
I mean, maybe in a couple of months we'll be looking at our evaluation of the TCG player purchase of CFB in much the same way that we look at those articles from 1914 in newspapers that say the assassination of Franz Ferdinand will surely usher in an era of European peace.
What?
And stability.
How can you take that from that? We have to find whoever wrote that.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a bad article.
Yeah, cancel their ass.
Yeah, get them.
All right, me, you at the cemetery. We're gonna own somebody.
Yep.
I'm sure that they were subject to whatever the 19, 15, and 16 equivalent of being mercilessly dragged were.
I think it was literally just dragging them.
Literally just dragging them. But then again, I mean, I also saw a newspaper advertisement in that was scanned from an article in the First World War that I think was essentially that crap shot, or not crap shot we wrote, but the video we made about the lamps going out across Europe, and they won't be relit again until this weekend at Bernie's Lamp Emporium.
Yeah, I remember
right,
doing that. That was part of a CFUT special.
Right. Yes.
It was we did a whole fake commercial for it.
Yeah. Prices are taking 30, 40, even 50% casualties this weekend only.
Christ.
I feel like, people are like, oh, God, everything's so bad now. It's like, no, people have been tasteless, awful, stupid idiots for as long as people have been around.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
It's always been too soon.
Yeah. Somebody in, I don't know, 1391. The only thing black about this is our prices. You'll be in the black after you buy our discount horseshoes or whatever like that. Like
Right.
literally after the Black Death is
Yeah,
swept
the
through
Black
Europe.
Plague.
Yeah. And somebody's like, geez, Yodrick.
Yeah, it's like, I know you're a farrier, but
Yeah.
I don't have a good one with humors,
Uh,
but you could probably figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Black bile, yellow bile.
Yule bile.
Yeah, he'll bile.
Phil Bile, yeah. No. This Yule only.
Yeah. Back in the day, this is so tangentially related. Actually, I think, if we're getting into like, deep trivia about like old medical practices and like that, the traditional holidays used to have a lot more sex and debauchery in them. Maybe it's time to end our Magic the Gathering podcast.
Yeah, we have to sit down and record our next podcast, Straight No Chaucer. Chaucer?
Oh.
How do I... Hey,
Well,
I got where you were going.
thank you.
and if you got it, please let us know in the comments and engage that YouTube algorithm. And if you didn't get it, please put it in the comments so someone who, not us, because we're not going to go in there, can explain it to you.
Speak for yourself. I read everything.
Oh.
Well, I think it's probably time to, on that bombshell, it's time to close this podcast. Thank you so much to our sponsors. That's you at patreon.com. I hope you feel like you're getting your money's worth. And Card Kingdom at cardkingdom.com. I pray to God that they feel like they're getting their money's worth. Remember, LRR sent me button, please, if you're making an order and you get in response I concede or whatever. Sorry, that just came from a place deep inside me where nobody cares about anything.
No, that was good.
What's our button again, James?
Before blocks, I concede. Before damage, I concede.
Yeah, the classic arena play. But thank you so much. I've been Kathleen. This has been Cameron.
Huh?
This was Wheeler.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be here.
And this is Tap Tap Concede. Bye, everybody.